Alright, so this is something I wrote today. Okay. When I try to tell people where Sri Lanka is, Americans don't believe me or argue with me. A lady I met literally said India every time I said Sri Lanka the other day. So where are you from? Oh, my family's from Sri Lanka. Oh, India. No, Sri Lanka. India. No, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an entirely different country. No, they're the same thing. She actually said this, and it's serious. So, how am I supposed to respond to these statements? No, yeah, I agree. Peanut butter and jelly are the same thing. There's just nothing in that moment you can say that will work. I just go into this glazed, I'm listening, but I don't really want to be with you look. And so I just leave, and don't you hate it when you're talking to those kind of people, and you try to go to another spot, and you're like, hey, I'm going to leave, and they're like, oh, man, I love that spot too. I'm going to join you. And it just doesn't work. So usually at this point, I try to introduce them to a friend. I'm like, hey, here's my friend Billy. He also doesn't believe that India and Sri Lanka are separate entities. So you should talk to him. And other people, when I say, I'm Sri Lankan, and they go, all right, where is Sri Lanka? And I say, it's in Asia. And they go, so you're Asian? Yeah, I'm Asian. No, you are not. Your ethnic identity is wrong. You're finding identity in the wrong thing is something they usually say. And there's not a lot I can say to that either, which is pretty crazy. So where are you from? I'm from Sri Lanka, which is in Asia. No, you're not Asian. How can you tell me what my ethnic identity is? So I try to break it down. Is India or Sri Lanka? Do you think it's in Europe? No. Do you think it's in North America? No. Do you think it's in South America? No. Do you think it's Australia? No. Africa? No. Well, it's either Antarctica or Asia. And then they're like, oh, you're not Asian.
Nice.
That's all I read.
So,
that's free writing. Give me some pros and gros.
I will say your content is good, but it sounds like you're preaching still. It's like a story.
Yeah.
It's not like jokes are like line, done.
Right.
And this is a story.
Yeah. I got like sad about the state of humanity somewhere in the middle there. No, seriously. Like where the lady continued to say like, yeah, no, I got like really sad.
Like one.
It's not my goal.
Well, you know what's sad though? People really
cried.
People are like that dumb.
It's true. These are all true stories.
No, but here's the deal. Like, like you could totally make light of it. It just needs another like something lighter or punchier in that, like in that.
Or
message.
it just needs to be like shorter. Like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the gap between jokes needs to be a little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's funny, like it builds up well, and then it gets then it's joke.
Uh-huh.
But like before that, like I think it's too much of a gap.
Sorry.
Well, if there are drunk people in the audience, they're not gonna be very patient.
Sure.
The part about like when you introduce them to your other friend that doesn't think Sri Lanka is a country, hilarious.
That was really fun.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was picturing it as somebody you didn't even know.
Yeah.
So
He also doesn't believe it's a country. That's freaking awesome.
That was like the best part, I
Okay.
think, because that like was like unexpected
Sure.
too, which I think in comedy there has to be something unexpected that comes up.
Alright, cool. When I try to tell people where Sri Lanka is, Americans don't believe me. Or they just argue with me. A lady I met literally said India every time I said Sri Lanka in a sentence. She's like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Sri Lanka. You mean India? No, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. India. Sri Lanka. India. Sri Lanka, India. And she was like, no, they're actually the same country. What am I supposed to say to that? It's such a ridiculous statement. So at that point, I just try to leave from her. And so I found my friend. And I'm like, hey, have you met my friend Billy? He also believes that India and Sri Lanka share national identities. You guys should meet and hang out with each other. I think you have a lot in common. So they either argue with me or just don't believe me. Like I tried to tell one of my students at school the other day, I'm actually Asian. He's like, no, aren't you from India or something? I was like, I'm from Asia. Well, no, you don't have like slanty eyes. You're not Chinese. How can you be Asian? I'm like, let's break that down. Am I African? No. Am I European? No. Am I South American? No. Well, it's either I'm Asian or I'm from Antarctica. What's it gonna be? Oh, I see your point, but I don't think you're Asian.
So better, right? Better?
No, the fake laugh